kids. So today we're going to read There Will Come Soft Rains by Ray Bradbury. And you can see with the year following here that this was written in the 1950s. So before we really get started, I want for you to think what was kind of going on during that time period. Ray Bradbury is a writer. He primarily writes what's called science fiction, which means it's things that quote unquote could never happen. Usually there's a lot of science and robots and things of that nature. So 1950s, we are talking World War II has ended. Not too long before that, I believe it was 1946, World War II ended. And right after World War II, we had what was called the Cold War. And the Cold War was cold means that there wasn't actual fighting, there was kind of more the threat of fighting. And the two primary groups in this were, we had the US and we had Russia was the big one, but it's not the only one. But it was basically this idea of a democracy versus a communist government system. And so both countries, the United States during World War II had used a nuclear bomb on in Nagasaki and Hiroshima in Japan. Russia said that they also had bombs, and so the United States, Russia, Cuba was in there. There's all kinds of different groups. We're kind of talking about the different types of weapons they had, whose government system was better than the other one, and who should be in charge. And so there were all these things happening with regards to the Cold War, which actually didn't end until, I believe I read it was like 1991. Says Cold War was 1947 to 1991 is when it quote unquote officially ended. So that's kind of the time period here that Ray Bradbury is considering as he writes this story. As we go, you want to look for evidence that he is talking about things that are happening in the future, that sci-fi element, things that we currently don't necessarily have, although his stuff gets more and more real as we continue through our years, because that was 1950, which was, 70 some odd years ago. My brain's not working right. All right, so the first thing that we did when we look at any sort of piece of writing is we kind of look at the title, see if it gives us any clues. There will come soft rains. I don't really know what we're talking about. I do see that he's talking about this year, which is 2026. And so he is talking as a writer 76 years in the future, being able to think of what's happening. And, now we're only 8 years away from his story year, which is kind of weird to think about. You also want to look at the year that the story was written, and then also take into account if the author is someone who is known for a certain type of writing. It doesn't necessarily mean that that piece will follow the same pattern, but it does mean that it gives you something to be thinking about. And Ray Bradbury writing these sci-fi books or stories, it's set in the future right here. We know what has just happened with regards to war, Cold War, which lasted these different days. Now we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. All right. Remember to annotate. You must always annotate. We are looking for those same patterns that we have noticed, again and again, that repetition element. We are noticing that we know that nothing is by accident. In the beginning, that exposition part, we're going to kind of be a little confused trying to figure out what is going on. And then as we go through, we're going to look for clues as to what's actually happening. So here we go. In the living room, voice clock saying, tick-tock, 7 o'clock, time to get up, time to get up, 7 o'clock, as if it were afraid that nobody would. Afraid that nobody would. Seems a little foreshadowing. And I wonder why a clock is singing this. My clock doesn't sing in the morning. Maybe I should make it do that. The morning house lay empty. The clock ticked on, repeating and repeating its sounds to the emptiness. There it is again. Empty, emptiness. 7-9, breakfast time. 7-9. I'm uncapping my pens. I forgot to get them ready to go as I go. In the kitchen, the breakfast stove gave a hissing sigh and ejected from its warm interior 8 pieces of perfectly browned toast, 8 eggs sunny side up, 16 slices of bacon, 2 coffees, and 2 glasses of milk. So as I take a look at this, I see a lot of numbers. So although the numbers are not the same as we go throughout, the idea of there being numbers over and over again, that is a repetition that we have in our story. As we know that anytime we have repetition, we probably need to pay attention. So if I'm taking a look at this, all the food really doesn't tell me how much, because you may be like, well, I eat 5 eggs when I eat eggs. But usually when it comes to drinks, 2 coffees and 2 glasses of milk, I'm guessing that the coffees are probably for adults and the milk is probably for 2 kids. Some adults will have 2 coffees and a milk with that, but I don't know that one adult is going to eat 8 slices of toast. And so as I look at the numbers, I'm guessing that we're looking at a family, question marks, I don't know, 2 kids, 2 adults. Today is August 4th, 2026, said a second voice from the kitchen ceiling. In the city of Allendale, California, so we're in California, it repeated the date 3 times for memory's sake. Today is Mr. Featherstone's birthday. Today is the anniversary of Toleda's marriage. Insurance is payable, as are the water, gas, and light bills. So these constant reminders. Okay, so technology's gotten so advanced that you can program everything and it'll tell you. So it's almost kind of Siri-like, huh? Somewhere in the walls, look at this, the writer did a paragraph right here all by itself. Somewhere in the walls, relays clicked, memory tapes glided under electric eyes. Relays clicked. So they didn't have advanced enough to know that like it'd probably be by itself. 8-1, tick tock, 8-1 o'clock, off to school, off to work, run, 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 8-1. But no doors slammed, no carpets took the soft tread of rubber heels. It was raining outside. The weather box on the front door sang quietly, rain, rain, go away, rubbers, raincoats for today. Rubbers are shoes, boots. And the rain tapped on the empty house, echoing. So there's no doors, no carpets. So I'm questioning, where are the people? It seems kind of empty. Outside, the garage chimed. See, and I keep noticing too. So here, I'm sorry. So the stove is hissing. So we have that idea of when there is a non-human object getting a human characteristic. So that's personification. Okay, so we have the stove hissing. We have a voice in the kitchen ceiling. We have memory tape. Everything seems electronic. Okay, where outside the garage chimed and lifted its door, which is again personification. Reveal the waiting car. There's cars waiting. Like everything is an object that's doing something. Okay. After a long wait, the door swung down again. At 8:30, the eggs were shriveled and the toast was like stone. An aluminum wedge scraped them in the sink where the hot water whirled them down the metal throat. See, here we go again. The metal throat which digested and flushed them away to the distant sea. The dirty dishes were dropped into a hot washer and emerged twinkling dry. So, like, the people don't even do anything. It's all machines. Huh. 9:15, sang the clock. Time to clean. And here we go again, sang the clock. Notice I went to a thicker red marker as I find these examples of personification. Out of warrens in the wall, tiny robot mice darted. The rooms were a crawl with the small cleaning animals, all rubber and metal. They thudded against chairs, whirling their mustached runners, kneading the rug nap, sucking gently at hidden dust. All of those things are things that humans do. Then, like mysterious invaders, they popped into their burrows, pink electrified eyes faded, and the house was clean. This reminds me of the robo room cleaner thing. 10 o'clock. The sun came out from behind the rain. The house stood alone in a city of rubble and ashes. This was the one house left standing. What? At night, the ruined city gave off a radioactive glow, which could be seen for miles. The one house left standing, the radioactive glow. So what could have happened that would have left a radioactive glow, and only one house has been left standing in California, which we know is a pretty overall crowded state. I mean, my geography skills, I know there's areas, I get it. Okay, so there's all this stuff. And I also am starting to notice that there's a lot of time telling, okay? So again, numbers being repeated that again and again, even though they're different. So we have 9:15, 10 o'clock, 10:15. Up here we have the 8 o'clock, we have 7 o'clock, 8:01. Okay, so we have all of these times, which I circled in another color because things are sticking out to me. Everything's on really like a schedule of some kind. 10:15, the garden sprinklers whirled up in golden founts, filling the soft morning air with scatterings of brightness. The water pelted window panes running down the charred west side. Charred west side, look at this. Charred west side where the house had been burned evenly, free of its white paint. So it's burned. All of these are clues as to what happened here. The entire west face of the house was black, save for the 5 places. Here, the silhouette in paint. So we have silhouettes of a man mowing the lawn. Here, in a photograph, a woman bent to pick flowers, and still farther over, their images burned on wood in one titanic instant. So something that happened in an instant. A small boy, hands flung in the air, higher up, the image of a thrown ball, and opposite him, a girl. I wonder if this is the family. Because it said the 5, so there's a mom, a dad, a boy, a girl, and then the ball, because their hands are raised up whenever it came down. So looking at all my evidence, one house left standing, a ruined city, a radioactive glow, charred west side, burned evenly free of paint. It was black except for the 5 places where there's a man, woman, boy, girl, and a ball. What do you think happened? The 5 spots of paint, the man, the woman, the children, the ball, remained. The rest was a thin charcoal layer. This right here comes back up here as well. Gentle sprinkler rain filled the garden with falling light. Until this day, how well the house had kept its peace. Here we go, more personification. The house is keeping peace. How carefully it had inquired, who goes there? What's the password? And getting no answer from lonely foxes and whining cats, it had shut up its windows and drawn shades in an old maidenly preoccupation with self-protection, which bordered on mechanical paranoia. So machines can't be paranoid, but the machine was asking who was there and what's the password, and no one was answering. So the machines have become so important to this life that it's quivering with each sound the house did. If a sparrow brushed a window, the shades snapped up, the bird startled, flew off. No, not even a bird must touch the house. Okay, so now what I'm starting to notice is there's some animals. So there's one house, everything else is gone, but there's some animals here. So we have lonely foxes, I have cats, I have a bird. And decided it doesn't want to work. Okay, so now my question is how, why animals survive? Because it's made clear that no one else is there, but these animals have survived. So what has made it possible for that to happen? All right, that's video 1. We'll be back with video 2.